As election season approaches, we're looking back at all the ways that Eurovision songs have been used by politicians to advance a particular idea of what their country should be. In a game we're calling Eurovision Bounce or Backlash, Fear and Loathing on the campaign trail.
To help us sort through all of this, we are thrilled to have Broadway composer Joe Iconis. He is the author of numerous shows from Broadway's Be More Chill to Bloodsong of Love to a musical about a famed chronicler of elections, the untitled, unauthorized Hunter S. Thompson musical. Joe's songs were also featured on NBC's Smash, with Broadway Here I Come becoming a runaway hit. Thank you for joining us, Joe.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think this should be a good time.
We'll see.
Yeah, I know. And it always rides on the edge on this show. Here's how the game's going to work. Mm-hmm. We're going to play you part of a Eurovision song from a particular country, and you're going to guess how it played into that country's politics, whether it was held up as an ideal for the country or whether the song became a controversial flashpoint. In other words, whether this Eurovision song was responsible for a political bounce or backlash.
Before we get to the game, what, if anything, do you know about Eurovision going into this conversation?
I always knew that ABBA won Eurovision without fully understanding what that was. I knew it was some kind of contest. I kind of knew the vibe of like early 70s Eurovision.
Which is great because Eurovision in general vibes early 70s just constantly. So you're prepared for this.
For a thing that I never really made the effort to research, I feel like a lot of my interests kind of intersect with the Eurovision vibe. Like I love like performances from like European variety shows of like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I've just never fully jumped into like the Eurovision pool.
I mean, now is the time to jump, Joe.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. This is my first step.
Joe, do you feel solid enough on the rules?
I feel half solid, half confused, which is a great way to be.
Oh, that's great.
Always.
Place to be.
That I have to say is how I always feel watching Eurovision. So
we will give you the name of the song, we'll give you the country, and we'll give you the year so that you can just go into that Rolodex of European political history.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Of which I know very little about. So I think I'm going to do great.
Our first song is from the singer Hadis. She represented Turkey in 2009 with the song Doom Tek Tek.
Okay, so I'm seeing what I would describe as belly dancers. There's 3 of them. This feels very Shakira-like to me. Lots of lights. They're really like doubling down on the belly dancing. It's like you think that you've seen it all, and then it's just more and more and more. Oh, there's a fan, which I love. So it's like a red belly dancing cloth. Oh my gosh, gymnastics. Okay, so people are jumping now. This is very exciting, up-tempo. There's a romance going on between the lead singer and this guy in a dress who just cartwheeled over to her. And this is like a full dance break. The guy's hair is nuts. There's fire now. There's fire where I didn't think there could be. The fire is very close to dancers in flowy cloth, which is really scary in an exciting way. Oh my God, I'm getting distracted by the amount of flips. There's so many flips. Oh my God, now there's hearts everywhere. There's butterflies everywhere. These are the projections. The projections feel very 2009 to me, but they're going crazy. Now the man in the dress is, oh my gosh, so much pyro. Wow. Oh, that was a great ending.
I have to say, I feel like you gave our listeners the full visual experience of watching that number.
Oh, nice.
100%.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I was trying. There was honestly so much to react to and so much stimuli.
So the question with this song, we know that this played into Turkish politics somehow in 2009. Do we think it was celebrated in the political sphere or denigrated? Was it a bounce or a backlash?
I am going to say, and this is a totally uninformed guess, but because of what to me felt like overt sexuality, unabashed sexuality, I'm going to say that it was a backlash.
Nailed it. There was actually one Turkish official who worked for the public broadcaster who said that the video released along with the song didn't represent Turkey because it purely marketed ass and breasts.
Wow.
Which, so there was like a real right-wing critique of the song, but left-wing critics too didn't love it. There was both like a feminist critique, but also a kind of cultural authenticity critique that by combining sort of Turkish elements with pop in the way that Hadis did, that it turned it into kind of like generic, like Spirit Halloween version of Turkish culture.
Yep, I get it.
I think it's a bop, but I do get it.
Yeah. I mean, the song was fun. Good pyro.
I've always said that Eurovision is the original RuPaul's Drag Race. Because if you think about the over-the-top costumes, the production, the wind machines, it's
the feminist critiques of the acts. Yeah, it's actually. So then actually what happened is 3 years after this song, Turkey actually left Eurovision entirely. This was mostly driven by Prime Minister Erdogan's government, who saw Eurovision as being representative of like super socially liberal sort of Western Europe influence. And actually this year, now President Erdogan reaffirmed his decision to remove Turkey from Eurovision, actually accusing Eurovision of encouraging gender neutralization and threatening the traditional family. He also described participants of the contest as Trojan horses of social corruption.
But because we've had such a good time in Turkey, we're going to stay in Turkey.
Great.
We're moving back to 2003.
Ooh.
This is Sertab Erener's Every Way That I Can.
It's a 5-top of female presenting singers. There is a woman in the center who looks kind of angry. It's definitely a bop of a song. It's got a nice shuffle beat. Oh my gosh. And she's so angry that she's throwing the other women down. So like there's like one woman in the center and then there's 4 women around her and they're all kind of pawing at her and she's like furious at them and she's not gonna wait. Okay, now all of these ribbons came out of her, like in The Lion King when the lionesses pull ribbons out of their eyeballs to symbolize tears. These are pink ribbons. They look like they're like sexy umbilical cords that lead to all of the other women. The main woman in the center is just furious. The anger in her delivery feels at odds with the bounciness of the song, which I really like. Now there's gymnastics. People are flipping all around. Oh, and they're just tugging on the sexy umbilical cord so much. Now they're doing a cute little like shuffle dance. I'm really enjoying this. Everyone has a lot of opinions about what they're doing, which I like. And now it's done. Great. Amazing. Look at that.
The question is politically, did they like the umbilical cord or not?
Because it felt like they were leading with things other than their own sexuality. I'm going to say that it was a bounce.
Nailing it.
Yeah.
Turkey actually won the competition with this.
Oh, good.
Erdogan's opponent in the last election, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, it was his campaign theme song.
Oh my God.
Because...
And this is like 20 years after.
Oh, yeah. If this just was on the charts in Turkey, we might have moved on.
Right.
But Erdogan's opponent also has made a point to say that he wants to bring Turkey back into Eurovision.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, in that sense, the song also becomes important. So, absolutely a bounce. And it's kind of interesting how a song that in so many ways is not political can have such a political importance.
So, Turkey leaves in 2012, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then a few years later, you might know this performer, Conchita Wurst. She's like a bearded drag queen.
At the time, she was one of the only mainstream bearded drag queen.
Conchita won for Austria. And Turkey, while no longer being in the contest, like the Turkish government was like, this is confirmation that Eurovision has gone crazy.
Right.
We went to Eurovision, I guess, last year's Eurovision, Every Way That I Can, the Sertab Erener song. Yeah. Conchita performs it. It felt like a message to like Erdogan and the Turkish government who would use Conchita as a symbol of everything that was wrong with the world to kind of like remind people that like Turkey like played a major part in the Eurovision story.
She's like, I'm going to take this song that is Turkey's winning moment in Eurovision and I'm going to make sure it's sung by a bearded drag queen.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's both inspirational and a fuck you, which is the best thing.
Oh my God, this sounds like a pride song.
So moving to our next song, we're going all the way back to 1974. A little Swedish supergroup called ABBA.
There they are. Waterloo. They're singing Waterloo, a song we know and love. They look great. The A's are singing. They've got thin corded microphones. They're singing back to back now. Benny's rocking out. Oh, they're singing directly to each other. They're in like ultimate ABBA cosplay, which you would assume from ABBA. That's a very compelling performance. It feels very human. In contrast to the other performances I've been watching, it feels really unrehearsed. You know, it feels really organic and chill and just like a band playing.
That's a really good observation that like the evolution of Eurovision has been to transform into a like arena show.
Yeah.
Like,
It was always in a concert hall normally for a long time. And now it's always like a sports arena.
There used to be a requirement that any sound on your track, if you had a track, that there was the instrument on stage representing it.
Whoa.
Which led to a really weird moment. Do you remember the song Ooh Ah Just a Little Bit?
Yeah, of course.
So that represented
That was a Eurovision song.
I had no idea.
Yeah. But it was a dance song. Gina G literally had like a Mac computer on stage because she had to.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like that's where the sounds
like wires and like switchboards. Yeah.
Did this ABBA song bounce or backlash?
I feel like ABBA is inherently non-controversial. And I would like to believe that Sweden was proud of them. I mean, this might be like a trick one, but I'm going to say bounce.
It is a trick one.
It is a trick
I'm
one.
so sorry, Joe.
And winning means hosting.
Mm-hmm.
And hosting costs a lot of money.
1974, the government had just introduced a new cultural policy. And the feeling was like, we need to be spending more of our resources on Swedish cultural products and things that are not this sort of globalized pop music.
Yeah.
And so then suddenly the entire national broadcaster's budget for the next year has to go to Eurovision.
Little Timmy's cello recital is not being filmed anymore.
The non-controversial aspect of ABBA played poorly with what the Swedish music scene was at the time, actually. Like it was like what you were getting was like this sort of like prog rock music scene that also like was kind of explicitly leftist and political.
Okay.
So much so that actually Sweden did host Eurovision, but also hosted something called the Alternative Festivalen.
Yes.
Where basically it was just like, fuck this. And they made it very decentralized. So like all of these different Swedish provinces and towns threw these kind of rock festivals in response to or in protest of Eurovision.
All I know is they should have been nicer to ABBA.
Yeah,
That's like still, they're the ones.
So now we're going to jump in time to 2019. So this is Mahmood, who's representing Italy.
Great.
With the song Soldi.
Okay. We've got a guy in center in like a velvety shirt. This is the first time we're seeing male dancers. They're feeling very fraught. There's some sort of father-son imagery going on. So it's like these guys are performing and there's like a massive shadow of a father and a massive shadow of a son. He's really passionate about what he's singing, but also is passionate about his moves. The moves it feels hip hop influence. Oh, now there's flames. There's flames on the stage and on the back. It feels like projections have improved since the last time we saw projections. The projections are really beautiful. I know it says money can't buy your love. It just said that to prove the point. Oh, and he did like a really grand finish. He did like a hand thing that it was like a flourish. That's what I would call that. I would say, if I was writing the script of that, I would say, and then he finishes with a hand flourish. And everyone cheered.
Oh my gosh. We love a hand flourish.
Yeah.
So now the question is bounce or backlash?
And did you say this was Italy?
Yeah. Italy, 2019.
Okay. I'm going to say that because it does not strike me as the sort of stereotypical idea of what an Italian pop song would be, I'm going to say that it was a bounce.
This was a backlash. All your reasoning was so right.
You had way too much faith in the Italian people.
Because
it was actually very moving to watch you come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I really
like,
thought about it.
You
know what? It's
you had so much faith in those Italian politicians, and that was your first mistake.
I know. It's because I am Italian, and so I wanted to believe that they were like, this is different than what we know, and we will embrace it.
And to be fair, commercially, the song did do very well.
Yes,
and Mahmood is like a major star in Italy.
The thing is that He's half Egyptian. There'd been a bit of a right-wing turn in Italy, anti-immigrant, narrow ideas of what makes an Italian. The part of the song, which jumps into the middle of the song with the part that you started on, he's singing in Arabic for a little bit of the song. This is the thing about Eurovision, is that whatever you end up with now represents a whole nation.
Right. And everything you just said, it's like, yeah, how wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Do you know what people think of when they think of Italy?
Yeah.
You know? Tony Soprano, man. My mate's good.
Yeah, this is positive.
Fucking big fat people with meatballs coming out of their mouths.
Now listen, I don't want to put those two in opposition because I love both.
Same.
So Matteo Salvini, Italy's deputy prime minister and leader of the far-right political party, the Northern League, called into question Mahmoud's Italian identity. Maybe he wanted to see the birth certificate.
Yeah, exactly. He also, I have to say, he called the song Meh on Twitter, which I think that really, that would have caught me. As they've said on Smash, don't forget me.
Thank you for looking at me and gesturing. And you said, as they said on Smash.
But so much so, there was even talk in the Italian parliament about changing the rules of the Eurovision selection to make sure this never happened again.
Oh, I have a question. Who decides who goes to Eurovision?
Well, this is a very good question because it isn't a simple answer. Because technically it's a competition between national broadcasters.
Okay.
Some countries do an internal selection. It's literally like a little boardroom of people picking. In a lot of the countries, it's a huge competition.
The complicated thing is it is national broadcasters who are choosing, and there's this open question of how close the national broadcaster is actually to the government itself, right?
Right.
I guess there's something inherently contradictory about a politically appointed, non-political body.
I mean, that's entirely what this podcast is about. So, a country with a famously independent public broadcaster, Belarus.
Yes, of course.
So we are moving to Belarus in 2021.
Okay.
This is the song they sent into Eurovision by a band called Galasi Zemesta. The translation of the song is called I'll Teach You. And maybe watch the video and then I'll read some of the lyric to sort of provide context.
Oh, great. So automatically this feels different from everything I've seen. This feels more like a band, less like a sort of dance piece. This is I think a 6-person band, maybe 5 people. There's a guy with an acoustic guitar sitting on a stool. They're all playing real instruments. They all seem like really nice folks. They're the sort of folks you might see performing at a coffee house. It's like a living room kind of vibe. Like, oh, you happen to come over and I have a tambourine and I have an electric drum kit and we're just playing. This is like a really sort of chill, kind of like 90s era, medium tempo, like acoustic rock number. There's a couch in the back. There's a bass player with sunglasses strumming along on the couch. This is fun. This is like a song that would be in the background of a scene from Friends. It's like that kind of thing. I don't know what they're singing, but they're kind of half smiling. Everything about this feels pleasant. This feels very non-confrontational, very pleasant. Everyone has a half smile. Everyone feels like at least 15 years older than any other person I have seen thus far on the Eurovision stage.
I think that's just living in Belarus.
Yeah, maybe.
Those are high schoolers?
I can't tell whether some of the awkwardness of this English translation of the lyric is the translation software or if it's actually the lyric. You just have to obey me. Change outlived norms. I'll teach you how to walk along the line. You'll be content, happy with everything. Is there a meaning maybe emerging, or if not, do you just have a sense of whether this would be a bounce or a backlash in Belarus?
I'm going to say, okay, the lyrics felt like there was more going on than I was anticipating from the music. I'm going to say backlash.
Okay, so I'm classifying this as a bounce, but I think as far as the ultimate point system, which is very important to this game, I think we can count anything as the right answer on this. This was 2021.
Okay.
The Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko, had just claimed victory in an election that he did not win.
Yep.
There were these really intense student protests. More than 30,000 people were arrested, hundreds beaten. This song submitted by Lukashenko's government was a taunting song to the protesters.
Yep.
Eurovision rejected this song for being too fascist.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But, in terms of how the song was held up by the Belarusian government.
Yeah.
They're very pro this song. They really like this song.
So finally, we have Bilal Hassani, who represented France at Eurovision in 2019 with the song Roi.
It was such good French.
Yeah, it was nice.
I am me, and I know I will always be.
This person singing in English, I literally can't tell if this is a person or if it's like an AI image.
Yeah, the
Literally can't
projections
tell.
are,
The projections are out of control now. Oh, it was a person. This is a person. Okay. This is a person who actually is dressed in a manner that feels not unlike ABBA. Okay. Another person just came out. Okay. These people have shapes to them that feel different than any other performance I have seen thus far on Eurovision. The female identifying person who just came out is a woman who's dancing sort of ballet, like aggressive ballet. This feels far more art forward than anything I've seen. This feels very theatrical. I can't quite hear the lyrics, but it feels like whatever the lyrics are impassioned in some way. It's over. But that was a very striking performance.
Now the question is, bounce or backlash?
I'm going to say backlash.
Nailed it.
It feels pretty right on.
Yeah. You were like, this is what Trump supporters would call a way too woke number.
It was very much giving woke, for sure.
And there's also like a secondary element of this idea of Frenchness to the point where there's this other French act. It was like the first French act in the over 60-year history of Eurovision to sing in English. And the Minister of French Culture had a meltdown.
Whoa.
He was like,
when you have the opportunity to represent France on the world stage, you sing in French.
That's chilling.
it is a little chilling.
It really
It's
is,
like
yeah.
the rough translation of what he said.
But this song,
Yes. I mean, it also sort of coincided with the rise of the radical right in France in EU elections. Henry Leroy, the senator of the Alpes-Maritimes, requested that Hassani be dismissed urgently from the contest. In 2023, Hassani was forced to cancel a concert in a former basilica in Metz after receiving threats from a group of far-right Catholics.
and there was another element hanging over all of this, which was that year the contest was hosted in Israel. So there were right-wing activists who went back through Bilal's Facebook posts from being a teenager to claim that because they were Muslim, they were anti-Israel, anti-Semitic. So there was definitely quite a backlash, but it's a very cool performance, I think.
After being introduced to Eurovision, what's your takeaway?
I truly think about it differently. This has been a very illuminating hour. Did not realize how directly it interacted with politics. It's really wild. Just the fact that it's literally a talking point. And yeah, this idea of artists sort of being thrust into politics in a way that goes beyond artists having a political message in their songs or artists making statements about songs. Dude, really is a sort of wild thing. And there's just nothing like it here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it is kind of crazy because I think that so much of our media, especially now, lives in pockets. We've joked about before that sometimes you'll go see a show in New York and it's the conclusion is gay people matter. And you're like, who in this audience
doesn't?
You know what I mean? And it's just it's a beautiful show, but you're just kind of going as a political piece. I was like, I'm not sure if we're changing hearts and minds, but if you then had to take that show and perform it, the Kentucky Derby or something.
Joe, thank you so much for being here, for doing this. This was awesome.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. And I'm excited to watch more clips of Eurovision.
All the mysteries of the Euro.